Hello and welcome to a little guide where I'm going to take a look at Shanghai in the attack helicopter and give you some little pointers and tips and tricks, stuff that I like to do on the battlefield, run an empty server so I can fly around in the heli without getting shot at, and show you exactly where I like to fly, exactly what I call buildings, exactly where I'd like to hide from stingers, plans of attack and things like that. So starting off, we're going to look at the US side. What happens if you have a gunner in your heli and you don't want him? Well, you smash them into those little barrels there. Unfortunately, they're already exploded, but you touch those barrels, they'll explode, they'll kill the gunner, it won't kill you, probably do about 20 damage to the heli. What happens if the barrels are exploded? Well, you can fly over here to this little car. If you park on top of the car, park the gunner on top of it, he will get cooked, and again, you'll team kill him. Not ideal, but sometimes you get these level 5 snipers who just want the helicopter for a lift, and you really don't want them in there. They can take the transport instead, so you have to burn them out. It works. You can also do it on the other side. There's a car in base that will do exactly the same thing. So you're taking off. Look at the way that I'm planning my attack here. I'm jumping from building to building, letting my gunner have angles, using third person to see over the top to see if there is an attack helicopter coming. He's not going to hit me. Well, he could probably bend a TV or a tow like this, but obviously I can see it coming, so I could dodge down. I'm also running from building to building. Now, why is it bad to point away from the helicopter all the time? As you can see here, pointing towards Charlie is bad. Well, my gunner can't fire his TV. I can fly it like this. He can then fire a TV and just see if he can even spot the attack helicopter and just use it as kind of a missile just to spot where he is. Remember, they will reload these TV missiles, so don't waste them, but you can always use one just to check where he is if you think you're going to be on C for a little bit. Now, cap in C. This seems simple in an attack helicopter, but trust me, people mess it up all the time. If you're on the US side, you want to be capping from where I am right now. Obviously, if there's people on the flag, don't get too close to the building. But if you're flying over here like this, capping, you're a perfect target for an attack helicopter camping in the Chinese base. You want to be hiding over on this side here, doing as best job as you can to cap, help your team out, and then obviously deal with the helicopters. Now, if you're attacking a helicopter and he's hiding behind circular or echo tower over there, what is the best plan of attack? Well, you can camp it up at C. The chances are someone will lock him and then you can take him out with a TV or a tow or something like that. But I like to be quite aggressive. I push him like this. I keep my height. It's important to keep your height. If you go diving over the top, you have to hit your TV or your tow or whatever you fired, because if you don't, he's got the best opportunity. Now let's switch to his view. He's going to be behind this tower like this, right? He's going to be checking out what's going on at C. It's quite difficult for him to hit any sort of zoonies or shots like that if you're the other side of C, as I said. And when you attack, he's going to be doing this. He's going to be flying backwards. He's exposed. He's out in the open. It's not an ideal situation for him. You're in control. It's the best way to deal with it. There's a couple of buildings over here as well that, again, just be wary to check them before you push, because they can be full of campers. And if you've got somebody with a stinger here and you're in a heli battle, they'll really ruin your chances of winning that battle. So let's take a little peek at where people like to hide on this map, usually with stingers. This tower in front of me that I'm shooting is known as China Tower. This is the one where a lot of campers like to hide. Doesn't matter what team they're on, they'll be up there. You can also find them on Bravo roof here. Obviously this one's located by Bravo, given the name, and you can get on it through either jumping off Charlie, a helicopter, or you can take the lift to the top. This building here is called Banana. Again, it's one where you can drop off onto from C or from another building or from a heli. It's a big one you need to keep clear. And these buildings next to Delta are quite tricky to control just because there's so much cover. So the only way they're going to die is if you're in the heli. Snipers aren't really going to help you out here. Keeping an eye on Echo is also important. This big tower at Echo is just known as Echo Tower or Circular, depending on what you want to call it. It is a pain to keep clear again because there's so many different ledges on it. The biggest problem for me is when they're at the base of it, underneath a building that we call Tic Tac. It's the one that obviously looks a little bit like a Tic Tac on the corner of Echo. I'll come to it now, just that one in front you see there. They're always underneath, and it's just a pain, and you can't really get them out of there. I mean, if you've got a tanker, you can go under and kill them, which is pretty easy, but as the heli, it's sometimes difficult to keep them out. But that's where the locks will be coming from on this map. Okay, so what about tactics for hiding from stingers and locks and stuff like that? Well, in base, on the US side, you can hide behind this building here. I think it's better than the one on the right, just because you get a better view of everything on the battlefield. The one on the right isn't really as good for seeing Charlie without peeking. If you spot the enemy attack helicopter who's rushing you, he will then get taken down by the base AA. Very useful indeed. If you go behind here, you can actually hide underneath this building and sink into the floor. Not something I recommend, but it's quite a sneaky little trick if you've got an attack helicopter pilot who maybe you know on the other team and you want to try and trick him. You can hide under here, your helicopter sinks into the ground. You can even jump out and rep it there. Quite a useful little tactic. Now, a little known fact is the floors behind the buildings here are very, very weird. You don't take damage on them. In fact, you can bounce on them in the attack helicopter as well if you need to gain height quickly. An unusual tactic, but it does work. You can crash into them. You see me doing it in my videos all the time. Now, you can fly around all of these parts of the map if you really need to. Not something I recommend, but you can do if you need to be, if you need to get away from another helicopter who's pushing you. Again, pulling up here, make sure you don't get shot by a tank or a lav, so make sure you get your height. And hiding behind these buildings here is also quite a useful tactic. So, we're flying up to Charlie, and we're going to get ourselves locked on the way up. What can we do about it? Well, you can fly from side to side on top of Charlie like this. This will block all stingers coming from either B or from D because they can't get a lock on you. But remember that if there's someone on C with an RPG, they'll take you out. You get out of jail free card is to come down here behind these buildings, behind Banana, and you can again hit the floor, you can rep, you can do whatever you want. Just be wary though, if you look to the side here, the tanks have a great shot from Delta Bridge, so you need to be careful that you don't fly in too low. And from the other side, it's not so bad, but they can get you from that little roof over there next to Bravo. The biggest problem with this hiding place is if you park it in the wrong place, in between the gap between these two buildings. If you look, when I look up, you can see Charlie and they can shoot an RPG. I've seen people do it before. You park here and you get yourself killed. Not ideal, just bear that in mind and park yourself just a little bit further away from that. It does the trick. It's a great little spot. Again, you just saw me jump in and jump out of the helicopter. That unspots you off the minimap. It's great if you're pushing an enemy attack helicopter. It works a treat. Okay, so what do you do if you're on Delta and you're getting yourself locked by somebody? You haven't got a chance to get behind those other two places I told you about. Well, you can come behind here, behind this little building. It does work quite well. You can block yourself. I wouldn't suggest you stay there for long, but you can block a couple of things. Fly your way through here. Again, you've got a little bit of cover. The floor here will destroy you. It will cause damage if you crash into it. So just make sure that you're a bit more careful around this part of the map. Again, it works so for blocking things. Again, it gives you a good vantage point for shooting C behind this tower here. But remember, you're going to find a lot of campers on top of these roofs. Okay, so let's have a look at it from the other point of view. I'm just going to bail out and get into the Chinese chopper and show you a couple of things. Almost getting myself killed in the dead zone, but it's all good. Now, the Chinese chopper, as you can see here, is a lot bigger than the other one. It isn't as agile, but again, you can use the buildings to your advantage to really get rid of that problem. Flying out of base, I'm always checking. Again here, I'm kind of overreacting a bit, showing exactly what I'd do in every situation. I wouldn't be doing this just in one go, but I'm checking all the angles. I'm pointing my gunner so you can fire his TV, and I'm getting up to C as fast as possible, capping it on this back corner this time, because then I'm at least, I'm going to get shot the least if I'm back there. Push the helicopter if I need to, fly back away. Easy stuff. Again, you can use the two little hiding places I said before. The one behind Banana is very, very useful for both teams. But what about if you're getting locked into your base and you can't get out? This is a problem that a lot of people find on this map, and then they complain about getting base rape, but the fact is they don't know how to get out of it. Well, you can hide behind your building here, spot the attack helicopter. If he pushes, you'll get killed by the base AA. If he doesn't push, you can just keep firing TVs until you kill him or until he gets locked. If you're not patient enough for that, you can fly behind these buildings here. Fly behind this one here, it gives you a bit of cover, not great. If you can make your way behind Circular or Echo Tower, it's very good for that engagement, but again, as we said at the beginning, you don't have the height advantage. So that leads you to the final option that does work very well, especially against inexperienced pilots or pilots who are seat switching and don't have a gunner. You take off and you fly your way around this part of the map. Now, it does work if you stay beneath radar, because obviously you are not going to be spotted. You can also hit ECM and it will do exactly the same thing. Jumping in and jumping out, if you think you've been spotted, does the trick as well. Fly behind here. Fly your way up here. You've got around the whole of the map without being spotted. You can actually do it around the entire map back to their base if you want, but this is usually the best way. Hit ACM so you're not getting, again, you're going off the minimap, and then toe, bang, in the face. You win. He loses. He rages because you've done a sneak on him, but who cares at this point? You're getting out of the base, and you're going to be able to do some work for your team. Hopefully you enjoyed this little guide. If you did, please leave a like on it. I might do another one of these for a different map, but Shanghai, obviously, at the minute is the one that's being used the most, as the game's starting to lose a couple of players. But people are coming back from BF1, not surprisingly. So hopefully you do find this useful. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.